I'm just going to give a quick introduction to my work, just for those of you that don't know about my work, and then I'm going to invite Ivan Blackstock up to have a conversation about his practice and use of technology. So, yeah, I'm the artistic director of Alexander Whitley Dance Company. I performed for about 15 years with a variety of different companies around the UK, and then set up my own company 10 years ago, 2014, we officially launched, because I was really interested in exploring this space around the intersection of movement and technology. So I'm just going to show, yeah, these are some examples of some of the productions we've made over the last few years. The work started out thinking about how we could bring interactive technology into a kind of conventional stage setting like this. We brought Microsoft Kinects that were built for the Xbox into a theater and just started playing around with how we could use that as a way of generating responsive visuals in projections. And there was a very steep learning curve from there onwards about all of the issues that come with meaningfully integrating these technologies and all of the kind of technical practicalities of doing that. But over the years, the work's kind of developed in relation to how the technology itself has developed, you know, VR immersive platforms emerging, and kind of interests and opportunities around thinking about different modes of performance, forms of participation and interaction in movement and performance-based experiences that these kinds of technologies and platforms afford. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been exploring. I'm going to show you a short reel and then I will invite Ivan up. Thank you. So, yeah, just a bit of an insight. I'm kind of more interested in talking to Ivan, though. So do you want to come up and join me here? Yeah, we can have a chat. I've got some questions to prompt you. So do you want to introduce yourself, first of all?
Yeah, why not? Hey, guys. Obviously, I kind of introduced myself earlier, but my name is Ivan Michael Blackstock. I'm an artist and creative director. Been dancing since the age of 8. Hip hop has always been my love, and now I'm turning 38 next month. So I've been doing this hip hop thing for a very long time, and I would say the type of artist I am is just someone that's really interested in exploring, and I think I'm always diving deep, digging, figuring it out. So even though I feel like I've achieved certain things, but I still feel like I'm in this place of figuring out, especially moving into more of this kind of innovative technologies.
Yeah. Thank you. So I got some questions about Trap Lord, because I came to see Trap Lord last year, I think, was it when it was at 180? And yeah, it was so interesting to see how you were thinking about and using not just technology, but the kind of features of gaming. Like the world you created had these elements of gaming and play, features we see in other types and uses of technology, but you know, you're bringing them into a world of dance. And so, yeah, the question is, how did you think about going about doing that and integrating these technologies into the production?
Yeah. So I would say, I think it was 2016. I mentioned it in some of the groups that came in. I did a partnership with Central St. Martin's, and they said, we want to jump on this interesting hype that's happening at the moment, which is VR. You know, VR, I felt in 2016 was just like, whoa, you know, it's back.
Yeah.
And basically, they gave me a 2-week residency, and I bought in a company called Subpack, a wearable kind of, you know, vest that you can kind of get a deeper immersion within sound. And yeah, we played around for 2 weeks, and that was kind of, I would say, the first kind of start of taking this Trap Lord world that lives in the live space into more of a digital space. It came out all right. It was a bit like, ugh, I didn't really show it as much, and I felt like I stepped away from engaging with tech because it felt like I had lack of knowledge, and I felt like I didn't have enough money. So what I did was change the position of where I was in. So I was more in a curatorial space, and that's how I kind of learned and kind of understood. But yeah, in 22, Trap Lord was commissioned by Sadler's World's Factory International and 180 Studios, and I had an opportunity to try and do another, I don't know, interesting visual. And for me, yes, this gaming world, the ideas of Unreal, seeing the Matrix, you know, development of that. So we made our assets in 2 weeks for the show. And actually, I made the show in 3 weeks, cause I caught COVID the first week of rehearsals, as you do. So the first week was just like trying to throw movement into something, and then yeah, the last 2 weeks was conceiving it into a Trap Lord world. And now, as I mentioned in the groups, we're taking that development and building this, looking at this Trap Lord universe into a Fortnite game now.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, and you touched upon it a bit, but what were the kind of challenges that you encountered in doing that? I mean, there are probably many, but like, what are the significant ones that stand out in terms of these blocks that made you, or that stopped you able to achieve what it is you had in mind, or the kind of obstacles you had to overcome to get to a point where you were happy with what you were putting up there?
I think one that I maybe didn't mention in the groups that came in is the language, the communication, you know, because I had a very clear idea in my head, but I didn't understand certain workflows and pipelines to get to the end result. So my training had to be, or my school had to be asking a lot of questions, being quite annoying, you know? And even still to this day, I feel like, yes, my knowledge has grown and understanding what's happening, but there's half of it I'm like, what? You know, so I think it's, finding this maybe real life emotion and translating it into this gaming software, that's been a challenge. Yeah. And as I mentioned in the groups, is some of the physical dance styles, such as crump or popping, you know, you don't really get that hard stop, or if you're kind of doing something, things are flying off you, you know. So I think that has been the challenge, and not having enough time in that kind of space to develop the work, as you would mostly get in the live experience, or if you're putting a stage show together.
Yeah, I think that language of collaboration and communication with technical artists and developers is a massive part of this, and often kind of overlooked. You think you can easily bring these things together and they'll just work naturally together, but often they're different languages, and as a choreographer you need to learn an awful lot about the capabilities of the software that your collaborators are working within, so you can have realistic expectations of the kind of outcomes they can provide.
Totally. And I feel like maybe it's also the challenge is we both are trying to figure out each other's worlds. You know, so even if I have some level of understanding in what they do, it's like they're not maybe sometimes physical movers or performers or anything like that. So it's still trying to get them to understand this is how it needs to be. And obviously then if they have worked in maybe more contemporary dance, you're working on a whole other thing, which is hip hop. So that's a whole other, you know, and because also hip hop is also linked to other cultural aspects. So making sure those things are involved in the storytelling.
Yeah, amazing. I guess, and on that point, how do you see the relationship between street culture, you know, the kind of artistic movements that have informed your practice, and emerging technologies? Is there an easy relationship between them, or, you know, where are the interesting touch points for you?
Yeah, I think for me, like, what's interesting is, you know, it's always been intertwined, I think. If I think of Def Jam, Fight for New York, and some of these, you know, I remember Wu-Tang did a game, B-Boy did a game, you know, I think it's always been there, especially even with music artists, of sometimes, you know, some of the MIDI technology and some of the stuff that they're doing. If I think of Flying Lotus, he's got an amazing show that he puts together, this 3D show. So I think within street culture and hip hop, it's always been there. I think maybe some of the challenges I've had is the accessibility. So yeah, during that time where I was like, okay, figuring it out, what I was doing is just downloading a whole bunch of apps and throwing myself into like these early AI apps and making myself into an avatar, and then screen recording it, and then putting it into, like, I don't know, Splice, now it's CapCut, putting some other thing into it, putting it into another AI, you know. So I feel that there's actually ways to work around it now, you know, and, you know.
But that takes time. That was a deep dive.
That takes time.
That's an investment, isn't it?
It does take time. But I think with anything, you start to find your flow. So currently, I would say I can generate a piece of decent content within 4 to 6 hours, you know. But it's me, like, there on my phone, you know. So I think, yeah, it was, for me, it was the accessibility of things. But I feel right now, it's so much easier to step into that world, and there's so much, I don't know, networks now. I feel like I can lean into to guide me into the vision I want to try and achieve.
Amazing. So final question, how are we doing for time? Okay, yeah, we've got a few minutes. So are you seeing any particularly interesting uses of technology across street culture and within your circles and hip-hop?
Yeah, most definitely. So I usually talk about this when I'm talking about cross-platform. So cross-platform is the arts organization I started in 2016, and it was looking at new directions and new approaches to street culture. And part of how that came about was I was at a party, and this guy came up to me. He's like, "Oh, what do you do?" I was like, "Yeah, I work in, you know, entertainment and arts." He's like, "Yeah, I'm a rapper." I was like, "All right, yeah, I know enough rappers, isn't it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I also make robots." I was like, "What?" "Yeah, I make robots out of Coke cans. And you know that, like, that Nintendo Wii technology, that Xbox thing, the Kinect?" I was like, "Yeah, I put that in the robot, and I put like a voice box inside the robot, and I make these toys for my daughter." And he showed me a video on his phone. That was the first time I was like, yo, okay. And then even for me, from that moment, I was on a journey of finding these hidden geniuses, you know, and we brought this amazing artist from Paris called NS-DOS, Kudis K, he goes underneath. He used to be a freestyle dancer. He used to do this big event called Just Debout, and he would do this kind of more contemporary experimental battle. But now he's gone into music production, into techno, and we programmed him back in 2018, I'm trying to remember, at Cross Platform. And what he did was he linked this tattoo machine into this MIDI thing, and was tattooing himself live, and then he made this whole techno score out of it. So it was really interesting in him using his body. We didn't have enough space for him to break out into movement, but yeah, that's one of the things. But I would love to share some video, if that's possible. So this video is just some artists and creators that I'm really inspired by, that I feel that's presenting some really interesting.
Is this the one?
That space where light and dark intersect, where rough and smooth intersect, where perverse and sophisticated and polite intersect, that's where thunder is produced, and I am more interested in creating a storm. Storms make flowers grow, and it makes grass grow and vegetation happen. And that is why I want to pursue something more fruitful, to teeter on the edge constantly between polarizing elements and really push the limits of my body and allow my body to be more passive and more ephemeral. I consider my body a sculpture. My body is something that assists narratives. It assists the work, it lends itself to the medium. So if it has to be a sexual object or a subjugated object or a powerful and confident object, then that's what will happen for the work. I don't think of myself as a black body in my work, or a queer body in my work, or even a sexual body in my work.
We programmed him a couple years ago, but he's made this thing called BA Pad. He calls it the Human Drum Machine. So this is a performance at Red Bull. We're just gonna skip so you get to see all of it somehow. So Lane Wire is a visual artist and fine artist. During the pandemic, he decided to start learning Unreal Engine and start making music. So this is a music video that he's made.
I see my head hurts, so much pressure. I've been waiting for this day since
So Niall is from Bristol. I think he's about 21, 22.
On my six cyberpunk, I run to the edge, play cards, no coward. Tap nigga like I come from Broward. Words will not bother me, everything follow me. I've been rough asleep with nothing to eat. Niggas done switch their team. Fuck these niggas, they ain't got no SP, take no risk, they wait. How you gonna copy my life? You ain't see the hell I seen, bitch. You ain't really that bitch. Realize like my silver watch, bitch. My GPU overclock, bitch. They been loving it.
We're skipping. This is Fractal Fantasy, a DJ duo that use really interesting things like Touch Designer and other tech within their live DJ performance sets. This is an app that I came across the other day, choreographic app. Very simple, but they've used this to put their choreography together for the choreographers and dancers in the room. There. There you go.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Ivan.
Thank you.